Have you ever been watching a horror movie and you're just having so much fun with it because of the pure insanity that you're watching on the screen that you just start laughing? That was me with Barbarian. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Well, today I want to talk to you about Barbarian, the brand new horror film that just came out in theaters. And this is a movie that kind of flew under the radar for me as I'd only just first heard about it like a few weeks ago. And there was nothing about just reading a simple plot synopsis of it that really kind of grabbed my attention. And then a couple of the reviews came out, and I was like, man, maybe I should go check this thing out. And wow, am I glad I did, because this thing is wild. And I think it's pretty safe to say, at least for me, this is the biggest surprise of the year so far. So Barbarian was directed by Zach Cregger and stars Georgina Campbell, Bill Skarsgård, and Justin Long. And it tells the story of a woman who stays at an Airbnb who discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems. And that is literally all I knew going into this movie. I didn't watch any of the trailers, and so my expectations were pretty much wide open. I went into this thing about as dark as you can go into it, about as blind as you can go into a movie. And if you're at all interested in seeing this, do not do any research. Don't read up on it. Don't look into anything. Go into this thing as dark and as blind as you possibly can, because that, I think, is going to make the experience so much better. And so with that being said, I'm going to purposely keep this review extremely vague, as I don't want to give away any of the details. And so I'll just start off by saying this movie is whacked out in the best possible way. And man, I had a good time with it. And if it isn't obvious at this point, I recommend you go check this thing out. If you're a horror movie fan, I can't imagine you not enjoying this. If you like just disturbed, whacked out, crazy, insane stuff that when you get to the end of the movie, you just kind of shake your head and go, what in the world did I just watch? Barbarian is the movie for you. The film is filled with some really solid surprises and twists and turns, and really kind of jacks with your expectations. There's an interesting kind of narrative structure to it that really kind of throws you off a little bit and is just sort of unexpected, that I really enjoyed. The performances all around are solid. I really like just how the film opens, in that it just starts almost like right in the middle of the action. There's no sort of build up. It just goes right from the start. And I like the score here. I thought it was used well and really sort of heightened the suspense in the sequences that it uses the score. But I also thought they did a good job of not overusing it and using it kind of minimally, because there's also a handful of suspenseful sequences that are lacking score and just silent. And for me personally, I often find those scarier than when they actually use the music. And so I think you get a good mixture of both here. This was just a lot of fun to watch, and there are just a handful of moments where you're genuinely unsure where it's going, and it surprises you. There are some really solid, I think, extended sequences of like prolonged and sustained suspense that I think work really well. There's just some weird, creepy factor. There's some disturbing scenes as well, and there's some genuine scares here. A couple jump scares that actually got me that I think work really well. There's a scene later on in the movie where I'll just say someone or something busts through the door, and the lady sitting a few seats next to me about jumped out of her seat. It's just an all around fun watch if you like movies that are just wild and crazy like this. As I mentioned in the intro to this video, that it got to a point where I couldn't help but just start laughing. And there is a scene in this movie, and again, I'll keep this vague, where something is getting ready to happen. And about 10 seconds before it does, I kind of realized what was getting ready to happen. And I sort of had that like horrified cringe, oh no moment, where I was just like, oh no. And then about 10 seconds later, it happens. And I just couldn't help but start laughing at the just pure madness and grossness and craziness of what I was watching. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I have just a sick, twisted sense of humor. But it's moments like that that remind me why I love horror movies and why I fell in love with horror movies. And Barbarian has a couple of those scenes where I just started laughing. And again, I don't know what that says, that I find that sort of thing entertaining, but it just reminds me why I love horror movies. When a movie kind of hits those notes, and you just can't help but just laugh at the complete craziness of what you're watching. It's just like, that's why I love it, man. This is why I watch horror movies, and it's such a fun and good time. And when a movie does that, as Barbarian does, it's pretty special. And so this is a fun time, and like I said, I highly recommend it. So those are just some of my thoughts on Barbarian. Like I said, wanted to keep this one kind of vague because I didn't want to give anything away at all. I obviously recommend you go check this thing out and go in knowing as little as you possibly can. I think you'll have a really good time with it. So, with that being said, I think overall I'm going to give Barbarian, man, you know what? I'm going to go an 8 out of 10 for Barbarian. Had a really good time with it. So, hit me up down in the comments though. Let me know if you guys have seen this thing and what your thoughts were. Would love to hear from you. And also, if you like content like this, that's what I do on The Haunted Beard. It is all horror and thriller movie content coming at you, so hit that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.